Berkowitz. He's a former co-host of What's Your Point, a cable talk show. Knows everything about sports and business. We'll balance your checkbook while talking sports and telling you how good the Yankees are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a double standard here. People that are against him going back to the league are saying, well, you know, he's done his time, but he should never be able to play again. Well, what is the difference if he works in business, or if he works at IBM or something and he did something like this? He's absolutely available to go back to work. This is a career for him, and this is what he does. Why can he not go back? He has served his time. Contrary to other things, like you mentioned, Dante Stallworth, contrary to Plaxico Burress, Michael Vick, as vile as what he did, should be allowed back in the league.
Absolutely.
And one correction, though. He is not allowed to negotiate a contract yet because he's not allowed back in the league. But once he is, then he can negotiate.
Yeah, and if he's going to get in, he might as well have a full training camp.
Adam Pac-Man Jones is just a disgrace to the league, and he's a guy that really should be suspended for life. Everything he's gone through, he's lied to a jury. He's lied about his situation, his story in Vegas. The video has come out now. It's disgusting. I don't know if everybody's seen the video, but shows him
of what happened that night with that shower.
It's really disgraceful. And then, of course, he and his friends came back. He knows what happened. He won't admit to it. So that's a disgrace. You had the Oakland Raiders used to take these guys on and actually solicit these guys in bars and look for guys in bar fights and then bring them to the team. So they're actually finishing up a book on three-time former champion boxer Iran Barkley, and this is a case study in this. The guy made millions. He was lowballed by the promoters. He was taken advantage of by his manager. He wasn't given a financial plan. Spent a lot of money on investments because he had money. Bad investments, bad homes, multiple cars. Had 2 divorces and wives, gambled a little bit. And, you look at the guy now, he's a former 3-time world champion boxer who had beaten Tommy Hearns twice and now is back in the Bronx with probably less money than he ever had before. And, again, this is not in a single case. This happens in multiple sports. They have a small budget because they're not going to draw. They're going to go up against the NFL. They don't have a lot of advertising. They're coming into the world right now with the worst advertising market in 20, 30 years.
The Arena League can't play anymore.
The Arena League.
They took a year off.
And now can't restart in 2010 when they thought they would because they're now going to push it out. So they're going to have a few games. They're going to see what they do. They have some good upper management with the league. I was surprised to see that Lossman went over there, but he can't go to the Arena Football League, and I guess the European League is out as well.
Yeah.
So where else is he going to play? So your point is actually 100% accurate. They're not a team that's on the verge of winning. They're not a team on the verge of going to the playoffs. They have 2 quasi number ones. They have to deal one of them. Now, do they deal one now, or do they deal one during training camp? That's a good question. If they deal one now, they risk that maybe let's say they choose Quinn. Quinn gets hurt, they're dead. If they hold them, let's say 1 or 2 games into preseason and a couple of cuts and maybe another quarterback gets hurt somewhere else, they then make a better deal and get picks. The team is so bad that they need to get, like you said, more draft picks. You build from within. One of the best GMs right now in football is Jerry Reese of the New York Giants, who's built that team from the bottom up by draft picks. In the Super Bowl year, they had 7 picks. They all made the team. They all contributed in the Super Bowl. And the picks they made last year, all these guys basically made the team and played well as well. So the team is deep, and they're deep even at wide receiver where they don't maybe have a number 1 star.
If they're young, they're cheap.
They're young, they're cheap, and they're so distant that they have to have arrows pointing to LeBron and saying who is LeBron and who is the guy and where he's being dunked on. It's that blurry.
That leads me to believe that they'll I was going to say that.
So what? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Come on. But do you think the Nike did this for the publicity? Did this for the intrigue?
I think they look bad, to be honest with you. I don't think it's great publicity.
They look paranoid?
Yeah, I don't think they look great. I think it's horrible. I think the way it looks, what's the difference? He got dunked on. Michael Jordan got dunked on, and he's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah, it was completely mismanaged.
Him, as soon as he got out of college. And they could have made this guy a star and had something with LeBron.
Now look at this. LeBron's got a little bit of heat, right? He made the
another report came out today. Did you see that one?
No.
That supposedly he smoked pot in high school. That came out today.
Who asked him?
It came out. I don't know. It's a good question. He admitted to smoking pot in high school. Now, is that a big deal to me? I don't think so. I mean, but that came out. Now, he takes another hit to his image.
Right.
He had an overrated season last year.
How?
Absolutely.
In what way?
He had 1 good game against Arizona. He threw tons of interceptions. Most of the passes he threw were up for grabs.
What if you found out that his arm was hurting at that point?
His arm was hurting. Then how's his arm going to be better this year? He's a year older.
Surgery.
He had the year before in Green Bay had a good year. The year before that in Green Bay had a bad year. So I think he's past his prime. I don't think he'll do well. What will help him do well if he goes to Minnesota is the running game.
Yeah, he's got a
running back.
He's got an offensive line.
Right?
He's got an offensive line that probably has the best offensive guard in the business.
And the indoor stadium obviously will help him out.
Yeah.
But, you know, Favre should not have made the Pro Bowl last year. Philip Rivers should have made it. You have to blame Minaya and you have to blame Manuel, and despite the injuries, and here's why. You look at a guy like Luis Castillo, who in his first game as a Met last year lounged around the bases and basically didn't score from first base on a ball that fell in with 2 outs in center field.
Right.
He is, you look at every single guy on that team, including David Wright, and they pose when they hit a deep ball. They pose and they wait there, and they turn doubles into singles. Luis Castillo drops a game-winning fly ball, and what does he do? 2 weeks later, he's catching balls with one hand again. Omir Santos.
He's a great point.
A catcher. Always has to catch the ball with 2 hands, regardless. He's catching the ball with one hand. He drops the ball, and they score runs after that. So, base running errors, they don't touch third base, dropping fly balls, not taking the extra base, stealing third with nobody out, that makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
And these are mistakes that are made over and over. No one is held accountable by Jerry Manuel. Omar Minaya, at this point, what are you going to do? You're not going to, you're not a buyer. You're not going to trade up and think you're going to, you're going to win the division. And then if you think you're going to win the wild card, you have almost the entire league ahead of you right now. You're closer to the lower part of the league now than you are to the upper part. There's only 2 or 3 teams
if I could handle the pressure.
Considering he's won 5 opens before.
Right. And
he's been
59.
there before and has nothing to lose.
Right.
Look, Greg Norman would have been a huge story last year for him to win at 53. And then, of course, Harrington came back and won. Had Watson won at 59, almost 60, this would have been a better story.
Greg Norman is the strangest guy in that I don't really think he's that interested in golf.
Oh, no. He's got so many other things going on.
Yeah,
he's got multi-million-dollar. Yeah.
He's a
He was in
businessman.
England on his honeymoon and basically said, you know something? Why don't we stop by? You can caddy. I'll play the tournament, and I'll have some fun, see some players. I'll play golf in England, and then I'll get cut after 2 rounds, and then we'll go on the honeymoon, and I'll play in the Senior Open. And that's basically what his attitude was last year. And all of a sudden, he is winning in the 3rd round. And then he's winning. He's getting into fights with crowds. He's now not loved in England. He's not loved in Italy. He's not loved in L.A.
Well, he's loved in Italy.
He's not loved by his teammates, no matter what, the kissy-kissy with Donovan. But, the fans hate him now.
Well, they've removed his captainship, right? He's no longer the captain of the...
He's supposed to come to the United States and make soccer big in the United States. Not just L.A., but in the league. He then, drifts off to go play somewhere else on loan. That doesn't make any sense because in the United States, we don't see that in any other sport.
We don't get it. We don't get this loan thing.
The Mets can't go borrow Albert Pujols. So it doesn't
And
work.
Pujols wouldn't want to go. You wouldn't think.
No, but come here. You start striking out with bases loaded. He did double plays like Fernando Tatis. And the Galaxy doesn't get any benefit from this. They paid a huge contract to bring him over, and then he goes to Italy. They can't score any goals. And you're at the bottom of the league, and now he comes back, and now the fans that are rabid fans wanted him to play. They said, look, you came over here to play for the Galaxy. 7th round pick, wasn't he?
Yes.
6th round pick.
But at Michigan, it's like being a pro player, don't you think?
Yeah, but he came in as a 6th round pick, was a backup to Bledsoe, and Bledsoe broke his ribs against the Jets. And was put in, all of a sudden he's a superstar dating models. So it's a similar situation. Why is he not getting the flag?
But a workaholic.
Okay.
Never left camp.
Right.
Oh, loved by his players.
Yeah.
There was
And the rings. Romo doesn't have that.
Is you have, as a player, that's your
turning down endorsements.
That's the number one thing you have to do. You have to prove yourself on the field first, then you can do whatever you want afterward. Very likely to get bounced in the 1st round. They're in the weaker division of the National League. They play San Diego, Arizona, an improved San Francisco team, but they have Lincecum. But they have a very easy schedule. They've won some freaky games, especially against the Mets. But he's done a good job there. Their stats don't justify their standing in the division. If you look at some of their batting averages, not that strong. And without Manny, who knows? But Manny can carry anybody through the World Series. I think they can be bounced in the 1st round.
Anything coming up we should know about?
No, I think you're going to have an interesting pennant race between the Yankees and the Red Sox. I think the Mets are dead wood. There's no interest in them at all. I think Omar should sit on his hands and not do anything.